Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the December 15th, 2025 edition of the Transportation Mobility Advisory Commission. Call it TMAC, call it TransMAC, just don't call us late for dinner. I want to thank everyone for coming out to the West Orange Recreation Center here in District 1. Just so everyone is aware, so we are TransMAC. We are a citizen-led advisory board that was created by the citizens of Orange County in November of 2024. We have three main duties. One is to review the proposed transportation expenditures and make recommendations to the Board of County Commissioners. We also have the ability to research and study future mobility innovations, try to get ahead of the game in Orange County in the future of transportation. And we also have the authority to review past expenditures for efficiency and effectiveness, how we spent our dollars in the past and what results have we gotten from those investments. So like I said, we are the public. We represent you. So I'm very thankful we have members of the public who have joined us here this evening. And I know there's millions upon millions of watching at home as well. So thank you for joining us on Orange TV, on YouTube. So welcome, everyone. So like I said, today night we are in District 1. This is our third district meeting that we have had. Most of our meetings thus far have been held in the Orange County Administration Building downtown. But since we represent the public, we thought it was very important that we come to you and hear from you about the issues and experiences you're having out on our transportation system. So we've been in Districts 3 and 6 so far, and now we're in District 1 with 3 more to go next year. And guys, I just realized we're going to have 2 more districts. So we're gonna travel a lot. So everyone, make sure your car insurance is paid up. You have money for gas mileage, that kind of thing. We have got a lot of traveling we're going to be doing coming up these next few months. So let's go ahead and get started tonight. Just to give you a preview of coming attractions here. Very important for District 1. We have your County Commissioner Cole Wilson. She's gonna share some words of wisdom with us, and our transportation is a big passion of hers, so I'm looking forward to those comments. And we're also going to hear later about all the current projects that are happening in District 1 for transportation, so you get some information about what are we currently doing in District 1, and then we can think about what should we do next. So the first thing we're going to start with, though, is the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone could please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so the first item of our agenda tonight, beyond the Pledge of Allegiance, are those words of wisdom from the District 1 County Commissioner, Nicole Wilson. Commissioner, thank you for inviting us to your district. It's an honor to be here.
I was going to say, I feel like this is some grand prize that you all won for being the engaged citizens, and I couldn't be any more grateful. It's such an important organization that you have put together. And that makes it a little easier. Okay, so let me start again and say thank you so much. Good afternoon or evening, happy Hanukkah, and welcome to beautiful District 1. I am pleased to host you all this evening. This county's advisory board has been really doing the hard work, and I think it's important for you to know that you will be doing some instrumental shaping of transportation policy and mobility planning here in Orange County. As we move forward, it is critical that we remain laser focused on Vision Zero and the goal of eliminating traffic-related serious injuries and fatalities. Meeting that goal requires us to be very forward-thinking and intentional about all of our expanded, safe, accessible, equitable, multimodal transportation options. So, removing all the government speak that I've been put into my head of these last few years, what's that mean? That means mobility for all people, not for a vehicle, and really staying focused on our residents and their needs. And I know that that's what you are. And so the importance of having a resident board is critical. As you all put forth your efforts, I wanted to make sure you are aware that I recently asked the Board of County Commissioners to take up the development of a regulatory framework for micromobility devices. Anyone that has walked on any of our paths, trails, sidewalks, or sometimes even streets, you've seen the scooters that can go very fast and bikes. And we love the idea that people can get out and use these types of devices. But how do we make sure that those users are also staying safe and that they're keeping the individuals around them safe? I got to be very transparent with you. You probably made the drive out here tonight. You know the challenges. District 1, we really have inherited years and years of rapid growth and overdevelopment, sometimes without the full thought process as to what we were doing to make sure that those people could be fully mobile within their community and outside into the larger Central Florida network of transportation. So understanding a cohesive plan that can make sure that that accessibility and interconnectivity continues is really the hard work. And so I'm really grateful for this. As you all have here tonight, you're going to probably understand a little more about Reams Road and Schofield Road and some of these that I know because you're a little bit more involved as a group. You've heard us talk about at the BCC. So we will continue to be, I will continue to be my office. We're here tonight, a partner and a resource, and quite frankly, we're just glad to have this team of bigger minds and thoughts and ideas. So thank you so much, and welcome to District 1.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone have any questions for Commissioner Wilson? Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate you. Okay, so moving right along on our agenda, our next item up is our public comment session. Like we said, our public meetings are open to the public. We are here for you. We are part of you, so we'd like to hear from you if you'd like to at this time. Do we have any requests for public comment at this time?
We did have 3 electronic comments submitted online. The first was from Jay Lau with the topic of roads and transportation. Next was Cheryl Lassie, and then Bernard Lennon, both about public transport.
Okay, wonderful. And those will be made part of the official record for this meeting. So thank you very much for those online submissions. I do see we have some members of the public that are in the room. If anyone would like to make a public comment at this time, we would open the floor for you if you'd like. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your attendance, and thank you for being here this evening. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. We have the approval and execution of the minutes from our previous meeting of November 13th, 2025. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes, and does anyone have any edits, additions, deletions, comments? Okay, hearing none. If I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes by Member Hoyos.
Second.
Seconded by Member Christensen. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed? All right. Meeting minutes are approved. Okay, so now is kind of the main event of the evening. We're going to hear from our Public Works team about what is going on currently in District 1 to improve your transportation system out here, and then we can talk a little more about what can we do in the future to make it even better.
Can everyone hear me? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Today we're going to go over projects in District 1 for fiscal year 24-25 that were either completed or substantially started. We're going to go over transportation studies, roadway projects, sidewalk projects, ADA improvements, traffic signal and intersection improvements, roadway lighting, and then we are going to talk a little bit about Vision Zero and those corridors that are on the high injury network in District 1. So here is just an overall map. It's probably hard to see, but it shows all the projects that have been completed or substantially started in fiscal year 24-25, and we'll go over all these projects. So we'll go over transportation studies first. So the first one is Tiny Road. So Tiny Road, can you see? I feel like I'm blocking you, sure. So Tiny Road was a study that was completed in March of this year. It is a study between Bridgewater Crossings Road and Tilden Road. It's to improve safety for the 2-lane road, adding roundabouts, a multi-use paths on both sides of the road. The goals are to address pedestrian facilities and enhance safety for all road users. The other set of transportation studies that were done in this fiscal year were for the school zone speed enforcement cameras. So part of the Florida statute requires us to do a school speed study before we install the cameras to prove that there is actual speeding issue. So we've chosen 2 schools within each district, but this is just the beginning. So we've chosen Dr. Phillips Elementary and Hunters Creek Elementary. Those speed cameras we are hoping to get those in for the 26-27 school year. Now we'll discuss roadway projects. So the first one is County Road 545 South. This project is a lane widening from 2 lanes to 4 lanes divided from US 192 to Hartsog Road. These improvements include 11-foot wide travel lanes and a 22-foot wide median. They include a multi-use path, lighting, and ADA improvements. This is in the design phase and it is at 30%. Avalon Road Town Center Segment 1 Silverleaf. This is also a lane widening project from Lake Hamlin Trail to McKinney Road. It's going from a 2-lane to a 4-lane undivided. Now, this is part of a public-private partnership with developers in the area. What's important about this is that we don't necessarily pay for the design and construction of this, so we work in partnership with the developers, and they are awarded impact fees for this. This design is currently at 60%. Another public-private partnership is Avalon Road Segment 3, Village I. This is a lane widening from 400 feet north of Western Way to Lake Star Road. It's going from a 2-lane to a 4-lane divided. It's also a public-private partnership. It includes sidewalks, shared use paths, lighting, and ADA upgrades. This design is at 40%. Avalon Road Segment 4, Village I. Lane widening from New Hartsog Road to Flemings Road, from a 2-lane to a 4-lane divided. Another public-private partnership with pedestrian and bicycle facilities, lighting, and ADA upgrades. This design is at 75%. Avalon Road Segment 1 and 2, Village I. This is a lane widening from Lake Star Road to 800 feet north of Water Springs Boulevard. It is going from a 2-lane to a 4-lane divided. Another public-private partnership. It will include pedestrian and bicycle facilities, lighting, and ADA upgrades. The design is at 75%. For Flemings Road, Segment 5 and 6 in Village I. This is a lane widening from the Lake County line to County Road 545. It includes pedestrian and bicycle facilities, lighting, and ADA upgrades. The design is complete, and construction is estimated to be complete in the spring of 2027. And we have Fiquette Road. Segment G, H1 and H2 in Village I. It's a lane widening from south of Inglebrook Drive to approximately 750 feet west onto Summer Lake Park Boulevard and approximately 880 feet south onto Reams Road. It's going from a 2-lane to a 4-lane divided. It's going to include pedestrian and bicycle facilities, lighting, and ADA upgrades. Design is complete. The contract to start construction was recently executed. For Reams Road, this is a lane widening from Tabor Field to Summer Lake Park Boulevard from a 2-lane to a 4-lane. It includes pedestrian and bicycle facilities, lighting, and ADA upgrades. Design is at 90% complete. The estimated start of construction is in winter of 2026. Sand Lake Road. This is an operational improvements project from Apopka Island Road to Turkey Lake Road. These improvements include a shared use path on the south side, additional turn lanes, a signal at the fountains and Plaza Venezia. This design is complete, and the construction contract was approved by the BCC on December 2nd of this year. Chase Road Bridge replacement. This is a complete bridge replacement. We are currently in the request for proposal phase for design. And Shingle Creek Trail Phase 3. This is a multi-use trail from the county line to Town Loop Boulevard along the west side of John Young Parkway. This construction was completed in October of this year. Now we'll talk about sidewalk projects. So these sidewalk projects were funded either by capital improvement projects, or by the mayor's accelerated transportation safety program. Westlake Butler Boulevard is currently at 50% design. Palm Parkway phases 1 and 2 were completed in this fiscal year. Masters Boulevard is at 50% construction, and East Bay Street is at 32% construction. ADA improvements. There's a lot of ADA improvements, the most we've seen so far. And just as a reminder, these ADA improvements can be at an intersection, they can be an entire neighborhood, they can be a whole corridor. So there were many ADA improvements in fiscal year 24-25 in District 1. We'll go over traffic signal and intersection improvements. So currently in design, we have SeaWorld Drive at Sea Harbor Drive. It's at 90% design. The design should be completed by December of next year. This is taking a little bit longer because during design it was realized that we were going to require a little bit more right-of-way. So John Young Parkway at Hunter Creek Boulevard is at 30% design. The design should be completed in December of next year. Sidell Road at Summer Lake Grove Street and Golden Harbor Lane is at 30% design. The design should be completed by August of next year. Westwood Boulevard at Academic Drive is at 60% design. That should be completed in June of next year. Central Florida Parkway at Sea Harbor Drive, the SeaWorld entrance and Discovery Cove is at 60% design. It should be completed by June of next year. And Central Florida Parkway at Orangewood Boulevard and Gateway Avenue is at 40% design. It should be completed by July of next year. The construction projects that were completed in this fiscal year were Summer Lake Park Boulevard and Fiquette Road and Reams Road turn lane extension. South of Popcove Island and Banyan Boulevard, a median refuge was completed. Work on a cul-de-sac on Lake Willis Drive, Hamlin Groves Trail and Gwinnett Drive, Newtonia Street and Shonen Drive directional medians were constructed. As a reminder for design usually takes 12 months if we don't have any issues, like, for instance, we realized we needed additional right-of-way, and construction takes anywhere from 18 to 24 months for traffic signals. I'll discuss roadway lighting. So Tilden Road from County Road 535 to County Road 545, the design is complete. The construction of this roadway lighting is to begin in 2026. For Windy Ridge Road from south of Popcove Island to Hempel Avenue, it's currently in construction. What was completed was safety lighting at the intersection of Avalon Road and Sidell Road. So we'll talk a little bit about Vision Zero. Members, you've seen this before, but for those that haven't, Orange County's Vision Zero action plan established the high injury corridors within the county to identify the most dangerous corridors for all road users. There are 14 high injury network segments in District 1, accounting for 2,498 crashes and 105 deaths and serious injury crashes on these roadways. From 2014, the dates are, 2018 to 2022. So, with the most dangerous corridors located on I Drive, Wallace Road, and segments of Popcove Island Road. Public Works staff is shifting its focus to the high injury network corridors, beginning with studies and progressing to design. These corridors are also being prioritized within the roadway resurfacing program. So Wallace Road, this is from Burnaway Drive to Stonehenge Drive. There were a total of 56 crashes, no fatalities, 5 serious injuries. I would like to remind everyone that just because there weren't fatalities, 5 serious injuries can lead to your life completely being changed. Can cause financial issues for family for generations to come if this was the primary member of the family who brought in funding. So serious injuries are taken just as seriously as fatalities. So some of the proposed safety countermeasures include installing leading pedestrian intervals, considering intersection reconstruction and tightening of Dr. Phillips. So tightening just means looking at the curb radii and decreasing it so it makes it difficult for cars to make quick turns. That way they have a little bit more time to react if there's someone in the crosswalk. Also pedestrian level street lighting. You're going to see this a lot in Vision Zero. Speed management, reducing lane width. So as we've discussed before, speed and distracted driving are the two major, they're tied for number 1, major reasons for people dying on our roads, and that's all over the country. And then also some signing and striping upgrades to upgrade some worn pavement markings throughout the corridor. The estimated cost for these improvements, just on this segment, is $1.7 million. For Popcove Island Road from State Road 535 to Lake Street, again, installing leading pedestrian intervals. It just gives pedestrians a little extra time to get into the crosswalk before the signals change. Prohibiting turns when pedestrian signals is activated. This seems like a no-brainer, but you would be surprised how many signals don't do that, right? So also tightening up the roadways at the intersections that curb radius to slow vehicles down. Installing new upgrade to high-emphasis crosswalks, providing lighting, again, speed management, reducing lane width, and then signing and striping. So the estimated cost for these improvements is $2.1 million. And then a Popcove Island Road from Palm Lake Drive to Conroy Windermere, 148 crashes, no fatalities, but 9 serious injuries. Again, the proposed safety countermeasures seem very similar. Installing leading pedestrian intervals, prohibiting turns when the PET signal is activated, pedestrian and bicycle facilities, providing them, installing mid-block crossings, speed management, looking at target speeds of anywhere from 35 to 40, sometimes 30 to 35 in some of these other segments. Also lighting upgrades and updating worn pavement markings. The estimated cost for these improvements is $6.1 million. So in summary, Public Works has had 61 projects in District 1 for fiscal year 24-25. Most are completed while some are still underway. These efforts represent over $42.7 million invested directly into the community.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. A lot going on here in District 1. I know you guys are, I'm sure you're happy to say it, maybe the timelines, I'm sure you wish they were a little quicker, but, you know, that's one of the things we're talking about is how do we get those things done quicker, but as you can see, there's a lot going on, a lot still to come, so that's really good to see. Any questions from members of the Commission?
Thank you. Let's talk about highway width for a little bit. We did the last couple of meetings. So you indicate you're going to cause people to go slower by narrowing the road width? And what road width do you take it to?
11 feet
Okay.
per lane.
I noticed also initially under, bear with me for a moment, the first road project you had, I think you indicated it was 11 feet wide, and I'll find it. It's County Road 545. You indicate 11-foot travel lanes. You did not indicate what the width of the travel lanes were for the other projects. Do you know what they are?
No, but I can get you that information.
Okay. So where's the county going on width of travel lanes?
11
And
feet.
11 and 12?
11 feet, yes.
And that's coming down from 12?
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes more. Some have 14 even.
Okay. And that makes people slow down?
It does. It does. So think about the last time you've been on a roadway that's having a construction project take place. You will see the concrete barriers. Those lane widths are not reduced, but the visual that it provides you tells you, wait a minute, maybe I need to slow down, maybe I need to be a little bit more careful. It's kind of similar to that. When you're in an 11-foot wide lane and you have a car next to you, you tend to slow down a little bit, be a little bit more careful.
You ever think about taking it down to 10 feet?
The problem is buses, right? So buses need at least 10.5, and we have to think about links and school buses as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Lauren, great presentation. And this question will be for you and the Commissioner Wilson. I noticed, for example, that on the community of Williamsburg and Hunters Creek, yeah, they're built out pretty much. We have done a lot for the last 25 years. Anything coming up the pipeline for Williamsburg and Hunters Creek? And I know, by the way, Commissioner, I know that you're going to lose that area next year for District 8, so I just want to throw that in. So, yeah. And then I'll ask another question, too.
I would be so happy to share with you some information. We've had several smaller studies that resulted in some speed tables, same issues, right, where we had heard from residents concerns about safety and crossing the road and children's bus stops. And so in Williamsburg in particular, there were a couple of stretches where people just felt like they could take off, even though it was clearly residential. And those will be coming in the next few months. But I'll share the information there. I will tell you, as part of our partnership to try to really educate along with these modifications and design, we got a lot of pushback on the speed tables in Hunters Creek. And, I think in my first term in office, one of the worst days I had was a day that a young man was hit and killed on his way home from school. It was a sunny day. You couldn't blame the weather. It was perfectly bright outside. You couldn't blame it being dark. It was because the driver was going faster than probably he should have, and he was looking for cars, not people. And so, I feel very strongly about supporting our designs that really prioritize that safety, and Hunters Creek is a retrofit for some of those. So help me even as we transition those districts and continuing to educate folks about the importance of that safety as a priority.
Correct. And by the way, Commissioner, one more question regarding the Disney Affordable Housing Project. I got the plan right here, Hartsock Road and Avalon Road and State Road 429. Did they ever agree to provide mass transit to Disney property from that project?
No, but it is going to be presumably coming back to us as a preliminary subdivision plan comes. So I will continue to pursue that as what I feel like is a necessity. We have a lot of young families in the area anyway, and so really seeing opportunity, I believe, for even a micro transit like they're using in Seminole County, I feel like we're getting better and better options. But with 1,400 new units coming on board there, and we understand the majority of those folks will be working and going to school in this, very predictable patterns, I believe we substantiate some transit.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it.
Patrick, I saw your name pop up. You got something?
Yeah, I had
Go for
a
it.
few questions. First, Lauren, great presentation. I just didn't know if the secondary schools have been identified yet for the program to monitor speed limits with the cameras. I know we have two. When the next ones roll out, is there a list already out there of the
So I think there was a preliminary list that was provided working with OCPS and the Sheriff's Office. Now, whether those studies have been completed, I'm not sure yet. I think we've been focusing on getting the cameras installed. We've had a lot of hurdles and had to watch what a lot of other municipalities have had to go through. I think I just saw on the news, I want to say it's Volusia County, I'm not positive, but all of their tickets are being thrown out now. So we're just going through the process and making sure we've, crossed all our T's and dotted all our I's so we don't have an issue yet. So, but yeah, this is definitely a program that's going to continue to grow within the county.
Okay, and then I know we've been going back and forth on Avalon. Just out of curiosity, I know each section will be done differently by a developer, but most likely, I'm assuming it's going to be select construction teams doing it. Could it potentially be the same company doing the entire completion of the road, because it's one straight section for the most part in a limited area?
Yeah, I haven't heard of that yet, because it's something that the developer kind of chooses on the builder that they tend to use, but that might be something that can be brought up.
I was just curious to expedite the process because it's pretty consistent from where it's going to happen. And then I know we talked about the actual light at Schofield in Avalon. Mm-hmm. Will that be waiting until the widening, or will it be installed prior?
No, we're going to install it prior to design. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think that was 2026, right? Not a specific quarter, but it's going in. Okay, awesome. And then I know we talked about lighting on Avalon as well, enhancements. Mm-hmm. I want to say it was in the design phase, right, on Avalon and on Sidell, and that's required by the builder as well in the next enhancement phase, right?
Well, no. So the Sidell, this is something that we're working with Duke Energy on, right?
Okay.
So Sidell is currently in design. I think we talked about that. So Sidell is currently in design, and then it'll be installed once the design is complete. That may take 2 years, I'm not really sure. But based on some of the conversations we did have, I did ask for them to advance the right in front of the high school at Horizons High. So at least some safety lighting similar to what was done on Sidell and Avalon.
Perfect. That, and same with I know it's missing on one of them. Is it Avalon and I can't remember the other one. I'll have to check, because it is a major crosswalk for anyone going to any of the 2 elementary schools. So I'll send that over, though,
Please.
as well, because I
Okay.
know one of them had it and one did not, and I can't remember which one now off the top of my head. That is all I had, so thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Mohammed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Torres. Great presentation. Couple quick questions, and you mentioned some tiny road, for example, and one of the items that we always come up against is the pipeline from study to shovel in the ground, right? And how long it takes to do that. What is the typical, just off the top of your, the typical for Orange County for us from the time we start with the conceptual studies to actually go to construction?
I might have to look at Brian on this one. Maybe 5 years? No? Okay.
You're better than I am. I'd say it depends.
It does depend, but just on average.
Just for the record, Brian Sanders, Transportation Planning Division. It does vary a bit, but generally the production phases are about 2 years each. 2 years for a study, 2 for design, 2 for right-of-way, 2 for construction. If you have all the funding in line, if there's no recessions or pandemics and other strange things that pop up along the way. There's some time in between those phases for creating the contracts. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years, typical. Some of the developer projects go a little bit quicker because they control good chunks of right-of-way along the corridors. I can only recall one that a developer had all of it, and that was very quick in terms of road production.
Yeah.
So that's typically the case.
So irrespective of funding availability, the production timeline is more or less 8 years, 10 years.
Generally more for our capital projects that do not have that financing power that developers have. Right? So we're waiting on impact fees to pour into an area and build up to a point where we can get into the next phase. Horizon West is a little challenging. I mean, you mentioned pipelining. So other projects within the district that are not the highest growth areas tend to be a little more challenging. We are having a challenge on Tiny Road, finding the funding for that. So we're trying to get there.
Right. Okay. No, I appreciate that. And I ask these questions to, maybe part of what we do as a commission is maybe work with staff and county and policy makers, our elected officials, to maybe find a way to showing that gap and how we prioritize our funding. Maybe we pool our funding to take a project from conception to construction, right? Again, just a thought I hear, because one of the frustrations that I hear in the public is, well, you studied it now. By the time I'll be long gone, and I'm not driving anymore by the time you get to it, right? So it'd be good to start to work on hopefully reducing that. And Lauren, you mentioned right of way for example, the intersection design. Some of the other jurisdictions that I've come across in my time have processes for expedited right-of-way takings, for lack of a better word, but right-of-way acquisition. I know in Orange County that's been more challenging. Do we have a process for expedited, especially on those corner clips and the minor right-of-way takings, where you're not taking somebody's home?
Sure. There's 2 approaches to that. One approach is to try to mediate the acquisition, so you can save funding on lawyers' fees in that regard. And the other process is just take them all to court, just straight away. Just put it in the process and do it that way. So we've had to do a lot of critical thinking when it comes to production, especially when we have sales tax that we're considering, there's a lot of funding would come, and we would really need to be nimble and quick to get all those processes completed. So yeah, we've been talking about those two methods, and there's other jurisdictions that just have those similar approaches. So we can learn from them as well.
Okay. Appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Sanders. My last question, again, in the conversation, and I think my fellow member here asked about lane widths, and you talked about speed control and some of the efforts to really work on the high injury network, which obviously is a priority and appreciated. But there is a bit of a competing interest, right? We pour significant investment into expanding capacity on roadways, and the traveling public is constantly wanting more capacity to get from A to B faster, right? And then we turn around and we spend significant investment on reducing speed, increasing travel time to make it safer for non-drivers, right? So, and I know we don't have the answer here, but just it's an interesting dichotomy of our business of how do we get people to where they want to go as fast as they want to go without making it dangerous for everyone else who's also not in a speeding vehicle, right? So I don't know if you have a comment on that, but it just seems we're investing on both ends of that. Thank you, Commissioner.
Sorry, I do, and I think it's a great question and a really important conversation, because when we look at places, and you think about newer areas like Horizon West, where we were really able to craft a connected community that's created really for walkable, bikeable use. So the goal, at least in my perspective, is to really laser focus on the safety piece, because if it becomes really inconvenient for someone who's just cutting through, then they're going to pick a different route, and that route may be built for commercial traffic or for express traffic, right? Because we have different kinds of thoroughfares. And so for me, it's an unfortunate inconvenience sometimes when we drop that, the speed, or we add some measures to slow people down. But if it's residential, then that's got to be the number one priority, is that safety. And then the hope is that your GPS pops you out onto a larger thoroughfare to get faster to where you need to go. And that we just make really clear design distinctions between those roads that should be smaller and slower and more attractive for our residential areas, because then more people will come out and use their bikes and walk. And that's the goal.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, great. Thank you for the presentation. I had a question about, we saw a few roads on there that were public-private partnerships, and to my recollection, that's not something that we received during our budget review cycle earlier this year, that we received presentations on. And I'm guessing, but I just want to confirm, that's because since they are public-private partnerships, that's kind of outside the scope of TransMAC review. Okay. Are we putting in any money for those partnerships, or are they solely 100% developer financed?
There's no way to know until they're completely finished, right? Because from my understanding, what happens is that we go into these partnerships and then things may happen. They may find an issue. They may, prices for materials may go up. There are different things that can happen. So really, we won't know until everything is accounted for at the end. Once design and construction is completed, then we'll know if there was any. They could have been a combination of a few things. We've talked about impact fees. If there is some capital, possibly. It all depends on what the original agreement stated, and then what at the end, what everything tallies up to.
Okay, so when these agreements are made, do they identify a dollar amount, a specific dollar amount that the developer is going to contribute, and then if it goes above that, maybe the county covers it, or is it like how does that when the agreement is made, how are those kind of crafted to address those potential cost overruns?
Yeah, these agreements have evolved over time. There was a time where it was very specific, and then over time, that developer's holding that number for a very long time. Right, so they got kind of smart and changed it up a little bit. So it's mainly impact fee credits trading for infrastructure, and so it's usually a schedule of production that will provide trips and impact fee credits back to the developer. So they're truly financing it way ahead of when the county would have been able to accumulate all those impact fees and then launch those production phases. So that's generally the twist there.
So it's a quicker route because if I understand the process more, the impact fees usually get paid at towards the end of the process if you're relying on impact fees in order to do some of these improvements. But if it's a partnership or a developer financed road agreement, then it can happen. The process can start earlier than waiting for the impact fee credits. I mean, impact fees to be paid towards the end of the process.
Correct.
And I mean, this is a third, a third district meeting, but it seems I can't recall seeing many other public-private partnerships, and then some of the other. Is that something that's more unique to District 1 to have these number of partnerships? If so, why? Or
not really. We've had them all over the county. Alafaya Trail was one of them. Innovation Way, that's a representative of the East.
Okay.
So it's wherever development produces a significant amount of traffic to break those roadways, you're usually dealing with a developer that has the financial means to finance these projects ahead of time and then bank those impact fee credits.
Okay, so the fact that we're seeing more of those maybe here in District 1 is really just kind of a result of the fact that that's where a lot of the growth is happening. Okay. Is that what you...
Yeah, not only that, but way back during the sector planning, there was a lot of coordination with landowners, and there was a lot of accumulation of land by a number of landowners. And so they saw what was happening, and so it gave them enough confidence that they could make those land investments, which turned out to be a little bit easier. So you're not dealing with, multitudes of property owners. You're just dealing with a few.
Okay. And while you're there, Brian, we talked about Tiny Road, and Mohammed asked a couple of questions about the time frame. I know you guys are still working on the budget for next year. Is there any anticipation that any sort of design is going to be included in the proposed budget for next year?
Yeah, they're looking at concepts now. There's not enough funding to do the whole thing all at once, so we're looking at key components of that that make sense to move forward.
Okay. And for Fleming's Road, is that currently in the 5-year CIP?
Fleming's is under construction now. It started just before Thanksgiving, so there wasn't a whole lot of movement going on there. And I think you said March of 27. At least Channel 9 reported that recently.
Breaking news. Okay, great. And then Reams and Fickett are the ones that are really, they really were prioritized, moved the prioritization chain, which is great because it's really needed. Based on the time frames you provided, Lauren, are those going to be going under construction simultaneously, or?
That I'm not completely sure about, so I'd have to get back.
No, Commissioner thinks it's come on up.
Fickett and New Independence. And
So the timeline for Reams, to the much frustration of the residents and myself, and I think anybody that's been following it, because it's really needed to have happened for a long time, it was pushed back. So Fickett, right now, the timeline that has been established and communicated through the newsletters puts Fickett first, and then Reams, but there were some design challenges with that wetland system, and so I want them to do it right and get up and over it. So that is largely, I think, what the last delay was due to. I know there was right-of-way issues also, but anyway, it looks like they're going to be consecutive, Fickett and then Reams. Okay.
And while you're up there, Commissioner, I have one for you. You talked about some pushback you received in Williamsburg with the installation of speed tables. Can you talk about what was the pushback?
Well, I think Mohammed was there when we brought out this beautiful design there's a study done, safety study, really focused on the, potential safety measures that could be taken to make it more walkable and bikeable. And they had some concerns with cut-through traffic because of additional development, Universal and SeaWorld. And it was the first time a protected bike lane came out in one of the designs in my district. And as you know about me, I was thrilled to see a protected bike lane because, quite frankly, all of those measures are so meaningful to people's participation in actually walking and biking. So that was sort of the first thing I started hearing, was that people were, why would you take away part of our lane for a protected bike lane? We don't bike. And I'm like, but you don't bike because you don't have a protected bike lane. And then, you know, we have a chicken or the egg conversation. But the speed tables themselves in Hunters Creek, that was a different study. And there are some measures that are being put into place incrementally as we can afford them. And the speed tables themselves, you know, obviously there are people who just wanted to go the speed they wanted to go there. They work wonderfully to slow people down, which frustrates people. And so we just continue to try to educate when we go out and talk, or, you know, when I talk to people that live there that do want them and they're afraid to speak up because they end up at an HOA meeting where everyone's angry and they're like, I really like the speed tables, but shh. And I'm like, it's okay. That's, you know, we did this for you because of your safety, and we just need to continue to normalize those decisions being the priority decisions. In Williamsburg, it's also sort of those updates that we have from that study. They couldn't all happen at once. They have to be incremental, so you didn't see them on the CIP list. But we're just trying to take advantage of whichever ones are the easiest ones for us to get to with whatever budget we have available, so that we can provide safety measures along the way.
Thank you, Commissioner. Lauren, on this slide with the intersection improvements, that was a pretty long list. I'm just wondering if you have this information, can you just give a couple of examples of what are the intersection improvements, just so for people, you know, who know exactly how those are going to be improved? Just, I know it's a long list, maybe not everyone, just a couple examples of this is what we're actually doing, so the public knows what's coming.
Yeah, I don't have a back button on this, so let me just let our team back here know what page to go to, just what slide to go to. Could you go back to slide 23 for me? Thank you.
23?
Yes. 21, two more. 23. There you go. So, for instance, Hunters Creek, this was from Hunters Creek Boulevard to OBT. Another one.
Right. These are the ADA. I was asking about the intersection.
Oh, are you asking about? I'm sorry. Are you asking about the intersection?
Intersection improvement. Yes.
Yeah. Slide 25. You can go forward for me. Thank you. So the first set were all traffic signals that are currently in design.
New traffic signals?
New traffic signals are currently in design, and then the construction has already been completed. So for Summer Lake Park Boulevard and Fiquette, there was a turn lane extension. There was a median refuge that was built at South Apopka Island and Banyan Boulevard. There was some work on the cul-de-sac on Lake Willis Drive, and then directional medians that were built at on Hamlin's Groves Trail at Gwinnett, Newtonia, and Shonen.
And can you explain how do we balance the need for additional traffic signals, you know, where we need them, but, you know, intersections and the frequency of intersections, the frequency of lights are one of the biggest drivers of traffic congestion. How do you balance, because I don't know all these areas, but I know some of them that seem like they have plenty of traffic signals already. How do you balance the choosing additional signals to put in versus kind of the impact that it has on roadway congestion?
Well, we follow federal requirements for the amount of traffic that's there, the number of turning vehicles. We look at all that information, and then we use the manual and uniform traffic control devices to decide based on the requirements there. They're called warrants. If those warrants are met, then we know we need a traffic signal there. And I've only been back at the county for 6 months, right? So, but I have seen, since I left about 2 years ago, there has been a greater understanding that if we have an opportunity to do something different, which could be a roundabout or maybe an R-cut intersection, those are the things that are looked at as well. So also some of these designs can also be upgrades as well. There may have been some changes in the roadway. Maybe there's some extra pedestrian features that we added as well. So.
Okay. And I just have one more question about the lighting for, I think it was Tilden Road you were asking about. You said it was a 2-year time frame for design, and the TransMAC part of my brain that we've learned so far understands why that takes 2 years, but the public, the citizen side of my brain says 2 years to design some lights. Like, so, can you explain?
You mean like traffic signals, right?
No,
so,
like the lighting.
Oh,
like,
the lighting. Okay,
so why does it?
Seidel? Is that
So
the one
it was,
you're...
I mean, it was
Yeah.
Seidel.
Right.
Can you explain why it takes 2 years to design lights?
So that design is actually done by Duke, right? So
Okay.
we work in conjunction with Duke, and we actually meet with them on a regular basis to kind of talk about these roadways and some of these designs. So from what I understand, it just, the size of the roadway, making sure we have the funding for it, making sure there's available right of way in order to install these. One thing which is something that I know has really been pushed with developers when they build these roadways now, is to make sure lighting is included. Is if you come in after the fact with lighting, now you have all these additional factors that you have to think about, like how much is it going to affect the sidewalk, right? If you have to impact the sidewalk for a street light, or if you need that additional right of way, do we have to obtain it in order to add these street lights in? So plus there's, we are dependent on Duke, although they work really well with us. I mean, they serve a large portion of the state, along with other states. So we try our best to work in conjunction with them, and we do pay for everything. So it's not Duke that's paying for this. It's actually the county that's paying for the design and installation of all these lights.
All right, I'm perfectly comfortable blaming Duke Energy, so we can just.
I'm
go
not
with
blaming
that. We
Duke.
can just
They
go with
work
that
great
line.
with
I'm
us.
good with
Great
that.
partner.
I got my issues with them.
Great partner.
I'm trying to reset my password on their online portal. Hopefully, someone from Duke is watching, and they email you the code. And the code doesn't never show up. So I got my own issues with Duke Energy. Okay. Any other questions for Lauren, for members of the commission?
I do.
Yep.
I want to go back to my favorite topic, which is speed. So, are you going to do those speed cameras in every school district to the extent you can, around every school?
If there is a speeding issue. So Florida statute requires us to prove that there is a speeding issue, so we have to study it. If we could just put them up, I think we would all be happy to put them up at every school, but we have to show that there is an actual speeding issue.
No, I have no sympathy for those people who think they have a constitutional right to speed,
Correct.
particularly when children are around. Now, what about outside the school districts? What's the restriction on those areas? Is it a no-no?
Right. So the camera, from my understanding of the statute, the camera has to be within the school zone, so the reduced speed school zone.
In Australia, they got cameras everywhere. What? They don't. In Australia, you have no speeding, you have no serious accidents with respect to that, and I think I'd have no problem at all tagging those people in regard to that.
I'd agree.
Let me just make a comment on private-public partnership, because I did the first one in Orange County back when Harry Stewart was county attorney, and then we did one for 535. We completed that when Mel Martinez was the chairman. And then when Tom Hastings was the county attorney, and he told me I had to build all of Lake Underhill Road. Those were the good old days, okay? But they really do work with the developer to do that, so I'm glad you're still doing that stuff. Thank you.
Patrick, I think you had something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the other one that is actually completed for the intersection enhancement is a dedicated turn arrow on Western Way and Avalon. So thank you for that, which has helped commute of a lot of Horizon West residents. So thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. You were very on top of that, making sure that got done. So great representative for District 1.
All right, Patrick, good work. Okay, any other questions or comments for Lauren from members of the commission? Okay, Lauren, thank you so much. Okay. We're going to member comments, and it's not even 7 o'clock. Are you guys sure about this? I know there's a football game in tonight, but it is the Steelers and Dolphins, so does it really count? I'm not.
It's on pay TV.
Yeah, ESPN, right? Yeah, exactly right. Okay, well, I guess we have no choice. Let's go into member comments. Any questions questions, comments on any general topics from members of the commission? I know a few of us met earlier today in a work session, so I know some of us got at that out a little bit out of our system, but I'm absolutely always willing to entertain more comments and thoughts from our commissioners. Jose, go ahead.
If I can ask one last question to the commissioner? One last question. All right, so tomorrow you'll be hearing and viewing a presentation by the county on transportation funding options. If we can go in a time machine 3 months from now, and the legislature approves to do away with homestead exemptions, increase and so forth, what's your take if by next November the residents say, yeah, I want my reduction in property taxes? Where do we get the money to offset that lost revenue based on that we may have to use a sales tax for transportation or infrastructure options in the future? What's your take so far?
Well, I mean, I think there's so much to unpack there. I'm going to start with saying that the math's not mathing on just trying to use a sales tax to supplant property. And we understand that there's a need for reform. I get that. I think there's a lot of families that are hurting, and we need to figure out where we can try to get that home ownership dream without, pushing out starter families and people that are in retirement. I think gutting property taxes is a whole nother meeting, but I will tell you, I think it would be devastating to almost every single budget item we have at the county, and that is with, even if they turned over TDT with us, it would be that catastrophic. So, because that would include, of course, the CRAs, that would include, there's so much that's tied to that ad valorem. And we've been successful. Orange County, of course, is a valuable place to live. So it's a blessing and a curse a little bit to have that value. So tomorrow's discussion, of course, is going to be a recap of the visioning sessions that have been taking place over these last several months. I'm not sure if you all received, but if not, I would like to share with you a memo that I put out in February requesting that we discuss as additioning, if we're going to talk about the transportation sales tax, that we also discuss the possibility of an infrastructure surtax, because it's a different option. And if we are going to ask the voters what we think they would be willing to add a half penny or a penny to, my belief is that we need to expand it to include things that people are interested in or believe that we are falling short on. And so I asked within that memo to actually model something potentially after Alachua County's places and spaces surtax. And so that surtax, there's one similar in Seminole County. These have been successful. It's just not the same statutory structure, of course, as the transportation tax. That was very narrow. I don't think if it has the same look as it had in the past, that will pass that. I mean, people are hurting. They need to know how those funds are going to really assist them. You just heard in District 1 how many of our lagging roads were just waiting for a promise that was made by a developer. So it's not going to help them there. We don't have a robust transit option here, and there was really nothing in the short term being offered with the increased tax. So I'm hoping we can have a really full discussion on which one of those things would be beneficial, but I think that we also have to be really sensitive to our residents and what they're going through right now and listen to them if they believe it's the wrong time for us to even put this on a ballot, that we should hold off.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Did you get the memo on the surtax? I will share that on the places and spaces.
If you can send it.
It was way back in February, and it got stacked into that huge visioning session mix. But it's an option. It's something we should discuss. Thank you.
Yeah, anything else to say? Okay. Any other questions, comments? Yeah, go ahead, Patrick.
I just didn't know, did we discuss, I wasn't able to attend the meeting this afternoon, but the TDT discussion going to the state for that was submitted by Orlando as a discussion point? Yeah,
not something we discussed today. Did you have any thoughts on that you wanted to?
No, I was just going to reach out to a representative of ARDA for other representation to get insight for other hospitality companies from their standpoint of support or that, and I'll follow up, but I just didn't know if it was discussed during that.
Yeah, no, not something we talked about today, yeah. But interested, let us know how what you find out in those conversations. Okay, anything for anyone else?
I just wanted to say thank you for the commissioner for appointing me this and the whole team as well as the rest of the commission coming out to District 1.
Absolutely. Here. I loved coming out here. I had, it's funny, me and Patrick were talking before the meeting, how long it took him to get here as a resident of District 1, and how long, well, I came from downtown, but how long it would have taken me, I'm an east side of the county resident, even though I'm 31 miles from here, it would have taken me 41 minutes. Patrick was, I believe, 12 miles from here. Took him 40 minutes. So it just, it sounds just about right. But yeah, it was great to come out here to District 1. Thank you so much for having me, Commissioner Wilson. Thank you so much for being here. Any other, when is our next meeting? That's always a good question that we should always put out there for everyone.
The next meeting is January 22nd.
And that is going to be in the county chambers downtown. Okay, so that's the beginning of our next budget cycle, thinking about what the next transportation budget is going to look like for the next fiscal year. So that'll be the first meeting in which we discuss that. But if there's nothing else, I want to wish everyone happy holidays and get home safely out there. And we will see you next month downtown. And we are adjourned.